good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai 71 here, bringing you another video. Today we are doing the 10th episode of the Powerpuff Girls 2016 reboot TV show. Today I got the episode on the earlier side. Somehow I managed to watch it early, which is nice. Doesn't always happen, but I found it somehow online, which is great. Anyway, let me basically talk to you guys. The episode is called Power Up Puff, Powerpuff. So it kind of works, and it's an interesting. It's a really good episode. I actually liked it a lot. It does kind of tie into another franchise that I've discussed with someone, and I'll get to that when we get to the part that it refers to. So let's start off here. So what happens is that the girls are sitting by their TVs. They're watching shows. You have, I think it's Buttercup has popcorn in her hands, and Bubbles there as well. And Blossom, they tell Blossom that the show that they're about to watch is gonna start. And the thing is that Blossom dashes right over and joins her sisters, and we see them all sitting there together, and they're watching this show that's called Sliced, and it's a cooking show. Now, for those who do not get the parallel, this is supposed to be matching. It's supposed to be matching the Food Network TV show Chopped, and to make things even more funny in some ways, after they show the Slice logo and everything like that, they have the host, and for those that know Food Network, there's the well-known guy who's been a food host, who's done cooking shows in the past, Alton Brown, you might remember, right? You might know Alton Brown. Well, they actually created a parody of that in this case, where they have Multi Brown, which is a clever nod to that show, and it's just kind of interesting to see that. What happens is that, so they have the mystery ingredient kind of set up, and the ingredient is the first time around it's I believe it's like mini hot dogs or whatever, and so they end up having chefs, and the chef that they focus on is the chef named Chef Schnitzel, and he's German, obviously, and he's actually a German scientist. So what happens is he ends up creating this nice this nice pigs in blanket dish, and talks about how they're going to be so good and yummy because of all the scientific stuff that he's done with them. So it's kind of unusual, but it works because, yeah, why not? But it's still cool. But then what happens is that we see Blossom cleaning up around them, and I think it's Buttercup says it's not making noise, we want to watch this, we keep on watching, and it continues on with afterwards with Chef Schnitzel's dishes being served out to the judges. And the thing is that one of the judges ends up trying to bite into the pigs in the blanket. Well, the thing is that the pigs in the blanket react unusually. They start moving together, the one that's on the person's fork falls off and comes together with the other one, the other pigs in blankets, and they form this gigantic pig that's in a gigantic blanket, and a blanket that's in the same coloring of what pigs in blankets normally is, but you have a live pig inside of the doughy blanket. So it's crazy, and this pig is massive. It destroys the setting. So then what happens is that the pig goes out and begins to cause trouble. So that's when the girls have to go out and stop this pig, and they end up fighting him, and they end up discovering on their own, just by pure chance, that Bubbles and Buttercup have new powers, and their powers are interesting because it's based off of how they think, and using their minds they're able to imagine things that they want, and they will have a huge force around them that will allow them to attack their foes, which in this case is that pig. So what happens is that Buttercup's imagination, anything that she imagines, tends to be weapons, cannons and missile launchers and rockets and all that kind of stuff. So she uses all those kinds of things, rockets and missiles and all that stuff. And the thing is that Bubbles, on the other hand, Bubbles is, cute and sweet and all that, and she instead uses animals. And then you may be thinking, what about Blossom? Well, that's kind of where the root of this episode is. Well, you see, they end up dealing with the gigantic pig blanket monster or whatever, and the pig blanket monster eventually gets destroyed and turns back into a bunch of pigs in a blanket. And then the girls return back to their home and go to bed. And when they're going to bed, when they're in their rooms or whatever, they're playing around with their new powers. And Blossom's, sitting in the middle there, not necessarily upset, but not necessarily happy, and feels bad that she couldn't help in any bigger way. And the thing is that then the professor comes in and she asks the professor, "When do you think I'll get my powers?" And he says, "Well, you might get them soon. It could be soon. It could be late, or you might not get them at all." And the thought of not getting them at all and knowing that her sisters have these powers bothers her, and it's something that totally is understood. So the thing is that after seeing how cool her sisters were and all that, she's not happy. And then the next day, they end up doing this fun thing where, like, you have Buttercup shooting cannonballs at Bubbles, where Bubbles is like uses her powers to have like a monkey around her. And the thing is that the monkey ends up throwing the balls, and then the cannonballs smash into each other and eventually create fireworks that have each of their faces, but Blossom's face is upset while the other two are happy. And this makes Blossom unhappy, especially when one of the kids ends up asking, like, "Do you have powers too? Can we see your powers?" And she doesn't have them yet, or at least she doesn't know if she's gonna have them. And the idea is that, like, her sisters defend her, but then she's like, it's alright, I'm just gonna go. And she ends up going through the town, ignores her, just leaves everyone. And there's signs that even say things like, stay up to date, don't be obsolete, and like, here is where worthless stuff goes, or whatever. Like, there was like an actual sign that said something like worthless goes here or whatever, and there was a sign that was pointing at like a dumpster, and then like the glass window frame breaks and falls into the dumpster, and she's just like, okay, I get it. And she returns home and she's just not happy at all. And the thing is that Bubbles and Buttercup end up like saying cheer up, and what happens is they end up watching Sliced again. Well, you have the same chef again, Chef Schnitzel, and the thing is that this time he's cooking pimento loaf, and which is pimento meatloaf. And the thing is that he makes it, and even the host says, like, well, so far no monsters, as they're about to bite into it, so things are good. And then suddenly, as the person who's biting into it just about bites into it, it starts to react. It's like, oh, never mind. That's why I knew that was going to happen. And suddenly, turns into a gigantic pimento loaf monster. At that point, Buttercup and Bubbles have to go, and the thing is that Blossom says, "No, you girls can go along. I'm just gonna staple some stuff. It will make my mind feel better, and I'll be able to concentrate more." So she ends up doing that for a while, and the thing is that Bubbles and Buttercup end up fighting, but they don't do well. So then Blossom is like, "What? My sisters aren't doing well?" And she's like, "I have to go help them, but first, let's clean up everything." So she goes really quickly, cleans everything up, goes to where her sisters are, and then suddenly discovers that she has powers too. Now, her powers are different. As you can tell, she has an emphasis on organization, so what they end up showing is like a stapler, as well as being clean. And clean, they show a broom. Well, the broom is for a second, but in regard to organization, stapler. They end up using the stapler, and the stapler goes out, shoots out staples at the pimento loaf monster. Then, following that, she transforms into, I believe it's a tape dispenser, and uses the tape dispenser to wrap around the monster. And she says, he can't get out of that. That's double-sided tape. And the thing is, the monster gets out, and eventually she ends up using like a vacuum to clean up the monster after she somehow like destroys it. And eventually they're all happy, and all the girls rejoice, and it's all good. Overall though, great episode. What you may be wondering, was I referring to that this connects to? For those that do not know, it's sort of like the Green Lantern and how he can, with his ring, he's able to, you know, think of whatever he can envision whatever he wants and use his powers to his liking and create things out of nothing. And it's all based off of what he needs at that time. For what I said to a person that I've spoken to in the past, for those who do not know, Powerpuff Girls did have a comic owned by DC, and DC also made Green Lantern. So both of them are in the same universe. They're in the same, like, the companies are under, like, they're under similar companies, and so there is some connection there. And because of all that, the legality reasoning behind it, it's not like they're stealing anything, because it's like completely legal, because it's not like, oh, Marvel taking something from DC. No, it's completely its own, it's still under the same name. Now, I'm not sure if DC has any of that same ownership with this show, but maybe, and probably. And so that's why, for those that are like, oh, this is totally ripping off Green Lantern, yes, but it's a little bit, but it's much more justified, because they have had similar ownership, because DC has owned both, comic wise. So I would guess that probably is still true to this day. So I want to make you guys aware. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to know what you guys thought of this episode yourselves, if you've seen it. Please leave your comments below. Also, like, what was your favorite moment, of course, and which characters you want to see. I also found out apparently the Amoeba Boys should be showing up sometime as late as June. It's not too far away, but that is kind of far. Hopefully it's not that long of a wait, but apparently the Amoeba Boys will be showing up at some point, and they look pretty good. I've seen the images of them, because they did a short video, because they've been doing that recently, and it showed off them, so that should be great. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video again, so I'll see you guys in the next video. So until then, guys, I'm Crazy Samurai 71, and goodbye.